PlayStation has unveiled its plan to save, or in their own words, revitalize gaming, and it is truly genius. And it's to keep pumping out more live service trash until they literally don't have a company anymore.
Are you serious, my brother?
Yeah, so PlayStation's genius plan is only genius to people with 2 brain cells left, or the people that pre-ordered GTA 6 without any gameplay. So in this video, we gotta talk about why PlayStation wants to push live service and the ramifications of that, and why I think they should not do it at all. So why does PlayStation so desperately want that live service smash hit? Well, it's simply for that money. Although live service games cost a crap ton to make, when they hit, they're practically an infinite money glitch. Look at Fortnite, look at Apex Legends, Marvel Rivals, and plenty of other successful live service games in the market currently. Any studio that has that one live service game is going to do whatever it can to keep it around for as long as possible because, well, investors love seeing number go up, and the top live service games continuously do that. Although Sony has Helldivers 2, it's already starting to wane off a bit in popularity, whereas the Fortnites, the PUBGs, and the Apexes of the world are still boasting these huge player counts, and a lot of the top live service games have been around for a while now. So the players on those games are way more likely to spend more money in that game. Sometimes a ridiculous amount of money, unfortunately. With that said, it's very simple to understand why PlayStation wants that live service so desperately. But it's not something they should heavily pursue at all, and for several reasons that we will get into. For starters, one of the biggest reasons that Sony should not pump out so many live service games is because of all the studios they'll end up shuttering or shutting down and sacrificing if they don't end up getting that one mega hit. Sony has already shut down like 6 studios since 2023, and pushing for live service games played a relatively big part in some of those studios being shut down. People losing their jobs is always really shitty, especially when people lose their jobs after putting out highly reviewed products that people loved. Bluepoint is the perfect example for this situation, where it starts to not even matter how well you produce games, but only how much money your game can make to impress the suits. Hell, look at Bungie and their recent mass layoffs of nearly 300 employees. Sony ended up blaming Destiny 2 as to why so many people were laid off, and I'm not going to get into the details of that situation, but unfortunately, Destiny 2 cost a ridiculous amount of money to keep up, and it had a lot of ups and downs throughout its lifetime, which ultimately led to its downfall. Speaking of ups and downs though, that leads perfectly into my second reason why Sony needs to stop this live service push. Live service games are extremely volatile. Fuck. Destiny 2, for example. One week the community loves it and possibly has an uptick in player count. Then the next update comes and the community thinks the game should burn in hell. It's a nerve-wracking system that makes or breaks your game, especially if after whatever bad update happens, the next one doesn't rejuvenate the player base again. Live service games are already one of the most expensive types of games you can make. Then you add on top of that the volatility of these games and the fact that Sony wants to make like 8 of these things. I mean, at this point, I guess we may see Concord 2 after all. Okay, but seriously, at that scale, Sony wants to pursue their live service dreams in a very unsustainable manner. Now, I know that last point was very short and sweet, but in the middle of me writing this script, Sony is just constantly bombarding us with bullshit, as well as Xbox, so I'm gonna make this pretty short and sweet and wrap this on up for y'all. I think live service games are just flatly bad for gaming. Live service games rely on a highly repetitive gameplay loop to get people hooked on the game, and then each update for however long the game lasts will put a slight twist on that loop to keep players engaged for potentially years. But you can only have so many people hooked on these live service games though, and I don't believe Sony can or will make that game that gets you or your friends off of your favorite live service slop. There's already thousands of players on Apex, thousands on Marvel Rivals, thousands on Fortnite, and these people are super dedicated to those games. So now you're not only competing with all the other top live service games, but in a year like this where there's literally just a bombardment of fantastic games coming out, almost all in the same fucking month, by the way. Yeah, good luck with that, Sony. But there's one last thing I must mention with Sony's live service push that I think just completely detracts from what Sony has already set up with its identity. PlayStation already has a strong identity with its cinematic third-person story games. And if I were to advise Sony, I think that's where their focus should be, to keep innovating on that formula with studios like Naughty Dog, who has yet to release a game in this generation, or Insomniac Games, or Santa Monica, or whoever. Because at least with that, you have a core audience of players who will get the games, and then every few years you can push a live service game with one of these $300 million budgets and actually support it and market it properly so you don't end up with another Concord. Now, will Sony actually do this? No, of course not, because they're just greedy fucking assholes, just like almost every other corporation in this world. So, there you go with that. I'm about to fly on up out of here because every time I turn around, there is just more breaking news with Sony and Xbox completely ruining our fucking day and trying to destroy our hobby. So, what is a live service game y'all are playing right now? And what's a game that you stopped playing because of some stupid fucking update? Anyways, I'm gonna hop on out of here. No, I'm not hopping anywhere. I'm flying on up out of here. And I will talk to y'all later. Peace.